Welcome back to the European LCS as we ready up for our final match of the day between Gambit Gaming and the Unicorns of Love. Now, Gambit are real old schoolers in the LCS, but they've tweaked their lineup coming into the season, so let's take a look at that one coming in this game. In the top lane, it is Cabochard. In the jungle, Diamond. In the mid lane, Nick at AD Pinoy, and on support, Edward. So the biggest changes in there for them, no longer Darien, no longer Genja, Cabochard coming in and Pinoy, and especially Pinoy had a very good performance, very aggressive performance at IEM.
Yeah, everybody's is basically, even European solo queue, whenever any Graves makes a sick play, he just went full Pinoy. That's what everybody's been saying lately. However, getting in those positions where you need those insane outplays often kind of means you screwed up a little bit, but it's nice you can recover. And ironically, that's something people were saying back in the day about Doublelift. You know, he had these crazy mechanics. They got him out of these misplays where he found himself into. And the same thing could be said for Pinoy, but man, he just stood his ground. Every time they engaged him, instead of running, he stood still and blew up the enemy team. And he really showed that he understood Graves to the full extent. We might even see a Graves ban on him.
Yeah, he actually tied Diamond for the most kills and the least deaths there at IEM. And we did also see Diamond, like, back to his old tricks, pulling out that pocket Sejuani pick. Also nice to see that he seems to feel at ease in that lineup again.
Yeah, with Riot implementing the new smite changes, jungle changes, and always going on about strategic diversity, we can definitely see Diamond really liking that.
Plus one for you.
Playing a lot of different jungle champions. I heard he's even playing jungle Nidalee. So who knows what crazy jungle pick he'll bring to us today.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the screen now we see Nick. Nick has absolutely come into his own from being in the shadow of Alex each way in the beginning. He is his own man. He has brought out his champion pool at IEM, going from last season in the LCS, he was playing champions like Ziggs, like Lulu, falling back on that at IEM. He played 5 champions in Ziggs games. In 6 games, LeBlanc, Zed, Cassidy, and Jace, and Syndra twice. Very important. A lot of hopeful signs, in short, for Gambit Gaming. Still, strategically, still a couple of lacks.
Yeah, I think all of the members are steadily improving. Even Cabochard has been doing well. But while we see like the Gambit of old, you know, really aggressive style, they don't really care too much about their opponents. They'll just go in and kill them. We still see the old problems Gambit's always had, and that is their vision control. When they're ahead, they could light up the map a little more. They could play around a little better. They still find themselves in these weird positions where they need Gambit-esque outplays to get out of. I would really like to see them learn from like other regions how to snowball these advantage in traditional meta style and mix that with their like Gambit see hero, kill hero type of style. But definitely props to them for improving. Like they looked shaky last year. If you asked me, like we were basically counting out Gambit, but I really like how Cabochard has grown, how Nick has grown, how the synergy between Edward and Pinoy seems to be going well. So they're definitely on the rise.
Yeah, it's all going to be about setting realistic expectations for that refreshed lineup, because we can't keep going back to like the old Moscow 5 and Gambit who had those fantastic results. You got to start fresh and see how far they can go. Their first test here is versus the Unicorns of Love, and let's start off by taking a look at that Unicorns of Love lineup. In the top lane, it's Vizichachi. In the jungle, Kikis. In the mid lane, Power of Evil at ADC, Vardags, and on support, Hylissang. Now, they qualified in the promotion tournament by beating Millennium, and since then, and the crowd knows it as well, a huge amount of hype behind them. A lot of them comes from IEM San Jose. Fantastic performance there, beating TSM that we'll never forget.
Yeah, everybody keeps talking about that, but just I like their lineup. I like what they brought to the table there. They weren't afraid of trying something new. Even when it works or whether it fails, I really like that. They kind of got out of class by C9 later, but they definitely show that they're bringing a lot to the table. And it's really cool to see new teams in the LCS not be afraid of changing things up. I'm a little worried what's going to happen like after a couple of weeks, if the LCS team are going to figure them out, so to say, or whether they can keep innovating or keep playing to a higher level. But especially Power of Evil, from basically watching him and playing with and against him in solo queue, he's a really good mid laner, and it's just a joy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. That Power of Evil, a shining light in that lineup, although the solo laners, both Vizichachi and him, are very good. How do you think they're going to come into the LCS here, knowing that Power of Evil is now going to have to week of week perform against some of the best mid laners in the world?
Well, if he ever falters, he still has the rest of his team to back up him. They have a solid roster there. Vizichachi's been playing well. I'm a little not worried, but curious to see how their bot lane will relate, because Europe has shown to have a couple of great bot lanes in there already. And Hylissang is a fantastic Thresh player. His hooks are really on point, but he's not shown that he can master other champions as well. He might draw a ban with it and might free up the pick and ban phase a little bit more for Unicorns of Love, but I want to see how their bot lane performs when they get targeted or even camped a little bit.
All right. In this matchup specifically, I kind of feel like they are worth each other. They are both aggressive teams. They sometimes play those oddball picks and daring to go all in. How do you think that will play out? Will they be super explosive from the start? I certainly hope so.
No, I just have a couple of picks in mind that are going to be contested. Because I've seen I was going to say Tristan, but Power of Evil play a lot of...
Tristan Schrage.
Tristan Schrage, such a nice German name, in his hometown, home country here. So Cassiopeia is a pick I've seen contested. Cabochard even plays it top as well. He plays it mid for Power of Evil.
Saw it today
at the same time, Thresh. Both Edward and Hildesang really like their Thresh, and they don't seem too much like Janna players, although they can pick it, but they'll always go for the Thresh. So I can see a Thresh contest here in this matchup, and I just want to see it because both players play it well, and both players know the matchup, so I want to see what they bring up against it.
Yeah, it's going to be a super exciting matchup. It's time to get into the action. So as we send it over to Quickshot and the Fish Show, we'll hear how Gambit Gaming reinvented themselves coming into the 2015 season and are setting their sights at the top of the league.
Some players disappeared from our team, so we got new ones.
Like, of course, we're a new team, like, we're from 5 different countries.
There are only 2 Russians left, and like Edward and Diamond, of course.
We don't really come up looking at people's nationality when we try people up. We just come and see if they are good players.
First of all, I played with them in London. It was a while ago already. After I was a free agent and Gambit picked me up.
For me, Chris is a great player, and when I feel that he knows the champion he plays, I know that he can make everything on this champion. Like, just kill the best AD carries 1v1, just 1v2, 1v3, or maybe 2v5.
I like to do flashy plays from the AD carry position, so that's a bit different from what Genji used to do.
When you are in team, you are already part of Gambit. There is no like, oh, you are new or something like that. Everyone is part of the team.
I had hard times leaving Genji and Darren. I still miss them. That was kinda hard to play without them. I really respected them both, and it was a joy playing with them. But sometimes you just need to move on and do your job.
Like, this M5 team was really high. Like, it's hard to like reach to that level, but we're just trying our best to like make our own of the new Gambit. If the experienced players help the new players a lot, we can really grow as a team and just be a top team in Europe as Gambit used to be.
We have different people with different playstyles in general, and like we train much harder, we try hard much more.
I'm just super excited to play with my team every week and just show the fans that we're a good team and just love it.
I don't care about our opening teams, I just want to play with my team, that's all.
All right, we'll have to see how well Gambit perform. They need to overcome all of the rigors of travel because they are one of the only teams that do not have a dedicated gaming house base for everybody.
Very true, very true. I know Pinoy, Cabochard and Nick has now moved to Berlin to live in an apartment together, and obviously Edward and Diamond will join in whenever they can, but there's still the travel time going on.
It's going to be interesting to see how they can handle themselves. That's already a step better than the old Gambit lineup. Of course, this squad won IEM Cologne, and I think there's a lot of expectation on their shoulders.
Oh, for sure.
Much like there's a lot of expectation on the Unicorns of Love. I think
very hyped up team.
This game could determine whose hype train is more exciting and faster traveling, because both of these guys have got a lot of fans behind them.
And we're going to see this quite a lot against Unicorns of Love. Thresh being banned away against Hildesang. It is by far his best champion. Like promotion tournament for Unicorns of Love where they beat Millennium. He played it all 5 games and he had an outstanding performance every single time. So we're going to see this banned quite often.
Unfortunately, we do have to do a quick remake on the lobby, ladies and gentlemen. We got them in fast, but we got them in just too fast. So that will get redone in a moment or two. Thresh was taken off the table. We did see Rek'Sai taken off the table from Gambit, so we expect that to happen. Again, no one's shocked by that.
Wow, Rek'Sai.
One thing I do want to touch on before we get into picks and bans is Nah. We didn't see it for games 1 and 2. We did see it for games 3 and 4. There's a reason it's perma-banned in every other region, and it's something that we're anticipating or expecting, should be expecting for games from here on out.
Yeah, and we saw 2 very different Nars being played. We had Youngbok who got camped early on, so he didn't have much of an impact early mid-game, but still late game on Nar, you are so powerful. If you land your ulti, you knock multiple people into a wall, and you just win the team fight from there. And then, of course, we saw Freddy, once he got a good start, pull all the attention to the top lane, kill people. Svensson joined in, and Rocket had no answer for it.
Both of the previous games, Gnar has been comboed with Jarvan to get those great Cataclysm plus Gnar ultimate moves, and it seems to be working out. We will have that lobby up in just a second, but I'm very interested to see how both Cabochard and Chachi play against each other, because I think these are two pretty hyped up top laners, as well as the fact that you've got Diamond going up against Kikis, who played, of course, that Jungle Twisted Fate against TSM. Just great picks, great banning. That worked out in Unicorns of Love favor.
Yeah, there's going to be some new picks coming into this game. I'm 100% sure we're going to see something different. Kikis at IM San Jose only played junglers who used Devour, because at the time it was a little bit too strong. He has now been nerfed. So I don't think we're going to see him on Twisted Fate. Also with the jungle leash, now only 5 times you can reset the camp, meaning as a ranged jungler, you can't just stay back and not take any damage while killing them. You actually have to tank them. So TF kind of gone kill jungle. We haven't seen it in a while either. So I think we're going to see more standard picks, unless he has a pocket pick ready.
Well, we'll have to find out. Diamond, of course, pulled out the Sejuani, did very, very well at Cologne. Both of these teams, different IEM events, different amounts of hype.
I've been spectating Diamond a little
exciting.
bit. He plays jungle in Italy now.
Why not? Let's see what they decide to do. We're going to jump back into Champion Select, as if no problems ever occurred. There is the Thresh we talked about. There is the red side.
Wow.
Hecarim is off the table.
That was actually a pick I thought Kikis might have played.
Well, the Unicorn is taken away from the Unicorns, and the Bear Pig machine of war is taken away. This is a different pick and ban phase.
Yes.
We might see it at Lee Sin and Jarvan. Right. I'm almost sad.
It's not the weirdest pick and ban phase we've seen today. I mean, we have seen a Renekton being banned instead of a Gnar against Freddy, so I can't even say I'm too surprised, but a lot of target bans here. Remember, Visichachi actually played Hecarim top lane at IM San Jose, so could be a ban against both him and Kikis, of course, on the sides of Unicorns of Love. But a lot of target picks or bans. Gnar is left open, 2 support bans from Gambit as well onto Hylissang here. I don't think Edward wants to first pick his own support though. Probably gonna go for the likes of an Annie if he can.
Look at this again, first pick Kassadin. Gambit once again showing that Kassadin is a relevant champion that is, hell, in Europe he's first pick worthy 2 games in a row. It worked for Fox and SK Gaming previously. Let's see what Nick/Cabochard can do with it, because again, it is that sort of flex pick, depending on where you want to run it.
It is definitely a flex pick, which
but does Chachi get Gnar?
It is the main reason for teams first picking it here in Europe, because it is a flex pick where if you take a Gnar, you know it's going to the top lane and you can kind of try and build around it. Gnar is a very strong laner, but he does have some matchups which can deal with him and then kind of outplay him in terms of the pressure you can apply on the map in the early to mid game. But now he's coming in the Visichachi, he will be happy. Kick is getting Jarvan as well. Such a solid combo. We've seen it time and time again today. It just works in team fights. You have a very tanky front line. You have engaged. You have so much CC being brought to the table by just these 2 first picks. And you don't actually tell too much, because they're very standard picks.
Yeah, you're now 3 for 3 on the Gnar Jarvan combo. And this is something that teams, you've got to question. Is Gnar worth letting through?
I don't think it is.
Considering they ban Hecarim. I mean, you've taken Thresh off the table. Surely, Gnar is a bigger threat than a Thresh. This game's going to find out.
I think Gnar really deserves to be a permanent ban. He's too strong all around. Even if you camp him early in the late game team fights as full tank, he's still so strong, and that's why you have to ban him away. Graves was left open. Pinoy managed to get it, together with the Annie pickup we talked about just before for Edward here with the 2 support bans. Such an explosive bottom lane. All-in potential at level 6. And I quite like it, especially because if you look at Unicorns of Love, we don't really talk about the bottom lane being too strong. Hylissang, again, he needs to get the Thresh pickup. That's banned away. So getting a Graves and Annie that can completely snowball a lane is actually very smart by Gambit.
Well, we'll see if they can make that happen. The duo lane for the Unicorns of Love has been locked in. Vardax will be playing Siva, while Hylissang will be playing Leona. You talked about aggression from Gambit. Unicorns say, hey, we'll match that. We think we can do it too.
Yeah, full-on engage from Unicorns of Love. You have a strong team fight. You even have pick potential through the Leona and, of course, the Jarvan with the engage they can do. And both supports here. They're not going to peel for the AD carry. They're not going to try and disengage. No, it's all in, both teams so far.
And this comp that Unicorns is putting together is not quite the same level of H2K when it comes to low amounts of damage. Because Gnar and Jarvan are going to be adding their bits and pieces on the side, but there's a lot of pressure now on this
Is it going to be jungle
Siva.
in Italy?
Oh, let's not get too excited. We're talking about, we don't like to talk about hovers, Deficio. Wait for it to get locked in. Gonna give it a few more seconds. Let's keep talking. Unicorns, what are they gonna put in the mid lane? There are still a bunch of assassins available if Power of Evil wants to go that route.
Fair enough.
This is why we don't talk hovers, Deficio.
You're correct.
Lee Sin and Cassiopeia locked in for Gambit.
So Cassio, once again, they played in both the lanes, so it's another flex pick. Unicorns of Love doesn't really know what's going to happen in terms of the laning or the solo laners just yet here. LeBlanc would be an option if it wasn't for the Kassadin. We don't want to see that matchup again, even though it's one of the best champions for Power of Evil. Orianna would be the safe bet, but Cassio will be able to just have such a free lane against Orianna. Wow. She can't shut down either Kassadin or a Cassiopeia.
Sheepy in the back, finally sharing his input. Been watching him this last minute. Not really chiming in too much. That is, of course, the coach for the Unicorns of Love. Gonna hover down those last few seconds. Let's wait to see what happens. If Syndra gets locked in, it's surprising because she took a very big hit to her laning damage. And it is locked in. Power of Evil going for the comfort pick. Power of Evil, just to quickly tell you a story, is one of the best Syndra players in Challenger and LCS. Touted for being one of the most accurate with the scat of the week.
Yeah, so Syndra here changes in 4.1, lost quite a lot of damage early game on her Q. And also her stun now, her E, is a lot harder to hit. It's a smaller hitbox. We're going to have to see what he can do. I feel like, again, it's just him saying, I don't know if I'm going to be against Kassadin or Cassio here, so I'm just going to take a comfort safe pick. But if he can actually shut down Nick on this Kassadin in the laning phase with the loss of his damage on Q early on, I'm not too sure about that one.
Right, we'll see how it works out. On the side of Unicorns of Love, they have got so much CC. If Gambit ever get grouped up, there are multiple champions for the Unicorns that can stun up multiple members of Gambit.
Yeah, that's where the Cassio pick here in the top lane for Cabochard can be fairly risky because she's an immobile champion. Leona can engage on to her, Jarvan can engage to her, and then you just blow her up instantly as long as you keep her stunned so she can use her ulti, which is going to be the main disengage part from Gambit in this lineup here. Otherwise, the rest, any support from Eddie. We know he wants to go in and engage here. You have the Graves. We know Pinoy plays extremely aggressive. Like, he's not afraid to flash in, dash into your face. So there's a lot of all-in potential from Gambit, but you have that one top lane pick as your only sort of disengage.
Yeah, Crepo said it earlier. Pinoy on Graves. If anyone goes ham, he calls it going a Pinoy. We'll see if he can do it again here in their first match. Gambit against Unicorns of Love. No super exciting picks that we were anticipating or expecting. Jump on Twitter. Tell us who you guys think is going to be victorious at LOL Esports. Use that hashtag GMBWin or hashtag UOLWin. We are in game for the final match of day one of the spring split. It is Gambit against Unicorns of Love. It is all the hype from the off-season coming to do battle against one another, and we'll see who comes out on top.
And we're going to have to see what Unicorns of Love wants to do in this mid-game, where their comp has a very big power spike through Syndra, of course, getting 1 or 2 items completed. Gnar, when he becomes so scary and he has a lot of damage still before he goes full late game, he becomes more of just a tank with a lot of CC, because Gambit, we know they scale into late game really well here. Cassio is going to stack up her poison. Kassadin, of course, as always. We don't have to talk about it. Graves even a fairly decent late game AD carry. So a lot of scaling for Gambit on their side, which will need a bit of time to build up, where Unicorns of Love can make the aggressive plays early on.
Very, very excited to see how Unicorns make those aggressive plays, because they've got all of the tools available to them and fairly standard defensive starts from both.
Yeah, and funny enough, again, like every single game we've seen today, except for maybe the first one, both comps are really looking towards just like hard engage, bursty team fights, where whoever gets the first damage or the first ulti off can just get an instant pick, win the team fight, take an objective from it. We haven't seen a lot of like old school Siege comp. We haven't seen any really passive comps. It's a lot of all-in from every single team in the ULCS.
Did you watch Copenhagen Wolves H2K? To be fair, there was 2 team fight comps. But yes, you're 100% right. They have been all about the engages. They have been all about going toe-to-toe with one another. And it looks like we're going to see those head-to-head lane matches. Eddie is trying to play a little bit of shenanigans on the Grump. Can he steal it? That's the question. Gonna go forward. Auto attack, not gonna be secured. Bardex gets it. Scumbag Eddie, not so scumbag after all.
We will get some solo lane XP for Pinoy down here, so he should actually get a fairly early level 2 on his side. And now obviously Hillisan, once he gets 2 more minions down, should be hitting that level 2. Sorry, 3 more minions down. Should be getting that level 2 for both him and Vardax.
Well, let's see if he can make those flashy collateral damage plays like he did in Cologne. Pinoy on Graves once again. He's able to 1v1 double lift a couple times, so no pressure, buddy.
Only 7 times.
See if you can live up to the same level of performance. And it's going to be a very, very aggressive lane matchup. I'm interested to see how Hylissang plays as well, considering that he's going to have that option to go all in on Eddie.
Very surprised they actually didn't all in. So you take the Grump here, you get early level 2 on Leona. You have to just go straight for the all in. There was level 1 on Edward, level 1 on Pinoy at that time. And they just stayed back, played it very passive. But we've seen this before from the bottom lane because Unicorns of Love is all about kickies and the solo lane is making the plays. The bottom lane often just play a little bit too passive and just sit and farm and farm and farm and try and be strong in team fights. But right here, they lost a golden opportunity of going all in with Leona.
Well, I'll have to see if they can make that one count for them. We do catch a brief sight of the top lane. Cabochard trying to put some hurt down onto Chachi. Not really affecting him CS-wise, but we'll have to see how well Vizichachi can keep his sustain up, keep his hit points up, while simultaneously farming.
And this is one of the picks that can do really well against Na early on because you out-damage him, you force him away, and we keep seeing this matchup here going like this, where Cabochard will constantly move forward, force Vizichachi to back away and just try and farm with Boomerang. Also, White Diamond showed himself on the top side in case Kikis came for an early gank. Diamond would have been there to counter gank it and actually didn't go back and upgrade his Hunter's Machete early, so he's going to fall behind in gold now compared to Kikis, who did their 3 camps, went back to base, upgrade early, so get a 30 gold from every camp now. That's going to be, could be a little problem for Diamond. He's going back now, though.
Well, we'll see how it affects him in terms of the total gold. Just a couple of camps, 5 CS at the moment. Chachi under tower, taking so much damage from Cabochard.
But look what Diamond is doing here. Skirmishes Saber. I haven't seen that on Lee Sin ever, actually. But it will allow me to get the true damage for a few seconds and, this Chachi dropping very low here, but at the same time get the 20% damage reduction onto his target. Kikis onto the mid lane, want to try and shut down Nyx.
Oh, let's see, there's the slide, there's the glide, Nyx gets caught and he gets sent back. It's not over yet, Pinoy gets stunned up, Vardax in return, stunned by Edward. They trade damage back and forth and Hylissang is the one that comes away worse for wear. First blood secured by the Unicorns of Love. In that middle lane from a very, very good dive. Oh, Pinoy's caught once again. Vardax goes in. Vardax is going to get caught out. We do see Hylissang continues to push. Ignite's ticking. The minion auto attack is not enough. And Pinoy manages to walk away. That was so, so close.
Yeah, now Unicorns of Love playing aggressive in the bottom lane. When as soon as they knew where Diamond was on the map, went for the all-in from Hylissang here. But in the mid lane, getting an early kill on Kassadin. Rocket tried in the last game. It didn't work for them. Unicorns of Love, they show how it's done.
We'll see how that works out for them. Sides, Diamond and Kikis now trading back and forth. The slide, the glide, Diamond sent flying. Kikis and Diamond continue to bash away at one another. It's Diamond that's winning. Let's see what he can do with the Sonic Wave. Gets flashed by Kikis, but Summon Spell blown.
But this is why Diamond is buying Skirmishes Saber. It's purely just for like the one-on-one, the skirmish he can do. Land that smite, get the 20% damage reduction on whoever he smites. And then he can stay around and force them to back away. Didn't sadly have smite for the last trade with Kikis.
He's going to have it for Chachi if he decides to go in. Let's see how quick he can respond. Diamond decides to back away instead.
This Chachi getting his Mega now. You don't really want to go for him there, so wisely enough. But a lot of focus on the top lane. Gambit Gaming knowing that Cabochard would be an easy target because he will push the lane over and over. And just making sure he has a very safe laning phase with Diamond there.
Now, we did say both of these teams have a lot of fans coming into this game, but I did not think the Unicorns of Love were going to win the Twitter vote against Gambit Gaming. 64% to 36%. A lot of faith in the Unicorns, considering their second place finish at IEM San Jose. Anyways, Nick versus Power of Evil. It's not something we've seen too much. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. Pinoy caught out, stunned up by Hylissang. This Leona play has been pretty solid so far. He's landed multiple Zenith Blades onto Pinoy, but nothing more comes from it other than the poke and the damage.
Yeah, the mid lane was fairly even in the start here, but then the ganks happened, and we know again Kassadin, he can farm well, but he doesn't really apply any pressure. So it's a very easy gank for Unicorns of Love to pull off and give Power of Evil a lead he really wants here on this Syndrome. But late game damage is the same as before, so that's not exactly going to be the problem for him.
Good help by Kikis then to sort of compensate for the lack of early game damage. He's been very, very present on this Jarvan in the early game. Landed a good couple of ganks. Diamond was able to push him away, but it's not too bad to do it away.
And again, Diamond, focus on this top lane here, making sure Capital can never get ganked and can just constantly push this wave in. He's not even looking to dive or anything, he's just staying around, securing all the vision and safety.
Yeah, but it's at the cost of his CS. He's falling further and further behind Kickers, who is about to show himself in this bottom lane. Cataclysm is available. Let's see if Hylissang can land the Zenith Blade. That could be the go signal. Or we could see the Demacian standard into Dragon Strike. What will it be? Stun is charged. Nothing hits, and Edward flashes away. That was very, very close indeed. Chilling Smite went down. Wasn't enough.
Good reaction time though by Eddie here, seeing the flag coming down and the engage from Hylissang instantly flashing away. Not taking any chances here in this bottom lane. It does mean, however, Annie is a very mobile support. So Kiki should come down to this bottom lane once again. Hylissang will hit his level 6 point and you just go for Edward straight away. Kill him, secure Dragon from there on.
Well, let's see if they can make that work. They do need to connect with the skill shots. Eddie, no flash, should make it significantly easier. Pinoy and Edward, 60 CS to 65 of Vardags and Hylissang. Zenith Blade goes wide. Anticipating Pinoy to back off just a second sooner. Didn't pay off, but pretty even numbers across most of the board. It's only Unicorns of Love with that first blood that's giving them the small gold advantage. Gank attempt by Kickers means that Diamond has had some time to even out that CS, albeit it was only around 5 or 6 anyway, so it's not like it was a massive number to speak of.
Diamond once again going to the top lane. Will actually face Kickers up here. Capture once again playing so aggressive, trying to constantly force Vizichachi to actually trade with him. A trade that now will lose out on. And Diamond are going for the recall. Kikis just go straight back to this bottom lane, or send down Power of Evil if you want to. But for Eddie, he needs to die.
Well, we'll see. Solar Flare's available. Who's going to get connected with the CC? Power of Evil moving in from the sideline. Zenith Blade lands, the stun connects, Pinoy's in trouble. Boomerang Blade comes out, but the Tibbers is going to delay the proceedings. We do see a teleport coming out for Cabochard as he's replied. It's been support for AD carry. Second victim of the fight's going to be Cabochard as Eddie will be dove. That is a very, very messy 2 for 3. Let's see if Nick can clean up house. He rift walks over. He flashes past the stun. Ignites ticking. That should be Vardags in trouble. Vardags does get taken out. And Gambit end up trading a 3 for 3 at the end of the day. And a tower dive from Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, and due to everyone dying here, no dragon can be taken or started by any team. Instead, though, we talked about the lack of flash from the bottom lane of Gambit. They send out Power of Evil. Kickers was actually running all the way from top lane. We're just going to see it again. Engage onto Pinoy here. Edward is staying very far back, knowing there was going to be a dive. Pinoy ends up dying. Hylissang goes down with him due to the tower and a nice teleport from Capo Shot. Vizichachi joining in. No Mechanar. Too early in the game to really tank the tower here. And in the very end, because Vardags will take some damage, Nick can come in and start cleaning it up.
Well, a burst from Power of Evil down into Cabochard was actually very surprising. Managing to pick up that kill relatively easy. It does end up being an even enough trade. 3 for 3, but Unicorns of Love are the ones that come out ahead. 1,000 gold in the advantage and a 3-0-1 Power of Evil in the mid lane.
Such a good start for him. Just straight into the mid game. Morel Normicon will be completed. He has magic penetration already. He can start one-shotting people. And honestly, he should just keep roaming around. Kassadin won't be able to stop him from roaming. So as long as he has the wards placed so he can see he doesn't face check someone like Diamond, he can go to the bottom lane, he can go to the top lane and just secure some more kills.
We'll see if he can continue to make those plays happen. Early Sorcerer's Boots that you highlighted, going to make that significantly easier to pull off. We do see Chachi, his first back, picked up that Hex Drinker. This is standard on all Nas. And Cabochard going for the similar Cassio build that we saw earlier. Tier into what's going to be the makings of that Rylai's.
Yeah, and that simply means we're going to hit this mid-game point now where Gambit needs time to scale up because you need your Rod of Ages fully stacked on the Kassadin. Cabochard in the top lane needs Tier stacked up, needs the Rylai's completed before we really start seeing the late game Cassio damage coming in. So Gambit now has the next 5-10 minutes where they basically just want to try and sit down back and farm, scale up on these two solo laners where Unicorns of Love, because Power of Evil also got so far ahead, can look for the plays.
It looked like Kikis was hovering in that bottom lane, toying with the idea of trying to go on the bottom. Keep in mind, Eddie's flash is down for a few more seconds. Diamond again showing in this top lane, but the fact that he's been spotted by Vizichachi means that Unicorns of Love are going to start off this dragon, and this should be uncontested. It doesn't look like Pinoy or Edward are anywhere near.
No, I don't actually mind this trade for Gambit. Getting a global gold instead, so you scale up your champions faster instead of this very first dragon. they would have a very hard time contesting anyway. So I actually quite like the trade. Problem is, however, your mid lane is going down as well, and suddenly it turns into favor of Unicorns as well.
Right, tower does get secured in the top. Unicorns do secure a tower of their own, so they get a dragon and a tower out of the deal. Unicorns maintain their control on the game, and they can train their position.
And getting that mid tower is so important because instantly you can just walk into Raptor camp, you can walk into the Wolves, place these deep wards here and see what Diamond is doing, or if someone like Eddie is roaming around from the bottom lane. It's a very, very good warning from Unicorns, knowing as soon as we take this tower down, inside the jungle, get some vision control, try and make some plays now, try and catch them out if Gambit is moving through their own jungle.
Well, take a look at this. Chachi's in trouble. He's committed to a fight. No hop available. Forced to flash. Next Trinket does pop, but that's a little bit of bait. Power of Evil's in place. Stun does not connect. And that means that Cabochard can get away cleanly. The Chachi had to flash there, trying to pick up some damage in Cabochard, but the support was around for Gambit.
He's been doing a good job actually just staying alive and picking up as much farm as he could, because Diamond has been sitting in his top lane the entire game long, doing nothing else, even picking up the skirmisher Saber here for better dueling as well on the Lee Sin. Just haven't really had a fight, because every time Kiki showed himself and realized Diamond was there, he just backed away.
And the irony is, despite the fact that Diamond was in the top lane, he didn't really put pressure on the Oh, that's the flash stun! Vardags is in trouble, Tibbers has come down, spell shields up, collateral damage! Pinoy goes Pinoy and drops Vardags where he stands.
They had a ward on Hillesang and he was recalling as soon as he went back to base, instant engage, Vardags had no flash. Nice little pickup here by Gambit, getting a very important kill as well.
Great timing from Eddie, really, to make that count. That evens out the kills, 4-4. There's only 300 gold separating these two teams, and Infinity Edge is completed for Pinoy on Graves. Got himself a CS advantage. Nick is even able to defend the pink ward for a few seconds longer.
So we mentioned Morello Nomicon on Syndra before, but seeing as he got all of these kills, he just went back, got a DFG completed. Again, Power of Evil, he really needs to try and find some picks here, because he can one-shot close to everyone.
Let's see if he can. Warrior Enchantment completed for Diamond Prox on Lee Sin. Kikis has had the same for a little while. Rylai's completed for Cabochard. Already touched on the Eye-Edge, the Rod of Ages, and the DFG. If you take a look at the supports, fairly similar in terms of your Moby Boost and Side
Oh, Eddie.
Eddie's been
There's no
down.
flash.
He's been knocked in the air. He's been stunned by Power of Evil. One more kill, going over to PoE.
Straight for the top lane.
4-0-1. Cabochard teleporting to safety.
Smart.
That's a massive, massive win. Another kill for Power of Evil, and the cooldown from Cabochard. Massive advantage to the Unicorns.
Yeah, Gambit are trying to reply to the push from Unicorns Aloft by taking the mid lane here, but they have to push it all the way now. I don't think they've taken any damage from the laning phase, so Unicorns of Love can just keep pushing down their 4 members.
Well, let's see if they group themselves up. Pinoy's pushing on the bottom lane. It's 1 tower to 2. Gambit have got themselves a little bit closer to this top lane, trying to counter out the vision as best they can. They've got 3 of those sweepers in hand. The Unicorns are grouped up. Look at Diamond's positioning. He sniffs an opportunity. This is a 4-on-4. Neither AD carry is with their team.
Wisely enough, they're just backing away. A little bit too early to stay and really seize the tower here. You don't want to risk and engage under the enemy turret or close to it where you can't really get onto the right targets in the back line. But still a good play by Unicorns of Love. They know they're stronger at the moment. They know they have to press the advantage, and that's why they keep invading in the jungle, keep taking these outer turrets down. So
another game where the Unicorns have come out swinging. I don't see anything super fancy in terms of champion picks, but they're not executing the strategy.
A lot of people mid
well.
lane here, nice stun.
That's a stun onto Nick. It's followed up by the Solar Flare. The Zenith Blade was too early. It was predictive, but it wasn't needed. Power of Evil with the DFG burst. Shreds down Nick. This is going to open up some damage onto this mid inner turret. Unicorns of Love continue to exert dominance on the map.
And landing a stun on a Kassadin should never really be possible in
Diamond's knocked up. Hillesang sniffing. The Cataclysm goes down and Diamond is now dropped. They've turned their attention to Eddie, and the Boomerang Blade is shredding his HP bars. Unicorns of Love get the inner turret, they get another kill, and now they back away.
Yeah, but Gambit are just staying around here, getting hit by stuns and everything, and suddenly engaged on, and of course they end up dying for it. Straight down towards this bottom lane.
Pinoy's in trouble. Blade doesn't connect, but the stun from Scatter the Weak does. Pinoy gets flung in the end, shut down by Vardag.
So Hylissang tried to predict the dash from Pinoy, and he just stopped in the bush instead. So some mind games going on here. Let's see Nick.
Okay.
Stop the recalls at least.
Stop the recalls. That's a little bit of an awkward moment. Gonna put some damage down, but keep in mind, numbers advantage still in favor of Unicorns of Love. They got the bottom tower. They've got a 5k gold lead at 17 minutes.
But these two slow scaling solo laners from Gambit are really getting punished here early on by Unicorns of Love. They have so much hard engage on their side. The mid laner is extremely fed at this point. And once again, I mean, Nick dying in that mid lane should never happen. When you see the ball flying towards you, just jump away in that castle and don't take the chance.
Well, he took the chance. It came back to bite him in the behind. Diamond procs with the aid of Nick and Edward. And take some solace in the fact that they can steal away a blue buff. The question is, can the mythical Unicorns counter? Diamond's going to safeguard away to safety, luckily. And Hylissang was right on his tail. First dragon went the way of the lovers. And now it has respawned again. They seem to have position. Let's see if Gambit want to come in. This is risky.
They should
big
fight.
goal
No.
difference.
This is so risky for Gambit if they actually want to try. They're sneaking around here. Eddie needs to land a perfect tip if they want to fight.
Well, Kikis has gone in. He's used that chilling smite on Diamond. That's a big stun! Chachi throws Nick against the wall. The first victim is Eddie. Eddie didn't even have Tibbers for the fight. Dragon is regenning in the background. 4 versus 5. Unicorns of Love off a little low on HP. Now Nick is knocked up. Cataclysm down onto
what's
Diamond.
happening, man?
Syndra's got 2. Cabochard will be the next target as Hylissang shuts him down. Cabochard will get killed. Another dragon going the way of Unicorns of Love. Gambit, they like their dragons, but they shouldn't have forced that one.
No, not at all. You know you're so much weaker right now, and yet you try and fight. I stand by my point, by the way. Eddie needs to land a perfect Tippers. He didn't have it. Just another reason not to fight in the first place for Gambit here. Giving up more kills. Dragon as well to Unicorns of Love. Let's see it again. The entire Gambit team is also completely split up. Visichachi with the engage. Edward instant dice. Doesn't have time to do anything. And now Unicorns of Love still very healthy. Can re-engage. Nick, second time, Power of Evil lands a stun onto him and kills him.
Well, there's a reason the Power of Evil Syndra is famed. We said it in Picks and Bans how good he is at landing those stuns. Despite the fact that in 5.1, Syndra got a nerf to her laning damage and the fact that Scatter the Weak got some tweaks. Doesn't matter. He's still hitting them. He's still making them count. And against Cassidy, one of the most mobile champions.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the lane matchup actually made a lot of sense from Power of Evil's side because Kassadin, while he won't really be able to deny him all the farm, he won't be able to kill the Syndra instead. But the first gank from Kick is just completely snowballed it in favor of Power of Evil. And then he went down bottom lane, picked up 2 more kills. And from there on and out, completing DFG very early. He's just been destroying Gambit. I mean, this guy, he's hyped up for a reason. And the EU mid laners are hyped up for a reason.
Hey, it's like you talked about this on Primetime League yesterday. How well is Power of Evil going to perform? Nick, one of the mid laners from 2014 that did perform well. That did have pretty good stats, despite being a little bit more utility-based. Unicorns are going to take an uncontested tower, and PoE making another big statement in the LCS.
Diamond is sitting mid lane right here. Just keep pushing in. Get your inhibitor here. Gambit's going to give it up and just try and trade for 2 towers in mid and top lane instead.
21 minutes. Let's see what Gambit can do. They finally decided to back away. Diamond's coming through the jungle. Unicorns of Love. They throw down the solar flare, but they get the inhibitor. Uncontested. Gambit making a ploy to get some gold. Let's see if they commit to the fight. This is going to be a very risky call. Diamond gets jumped on by Kickers. Instantly Dragon's Rages. Cataclysm goes down. First victim is going to be Diamond Procs. It's not over yet. Eddie's in the background. Tibbers is there and available. Decides not to use it just yet. Reducing Unicorns of Love. They've got the numbers advantage. They continue to push down, but they got an inhibitor. 21 minutes, uncontested. Gambit couldn't pick a fight. Diamond 0-3-0. This skirmish of Saber Lee Sin is simply not having the impact that they wanted it to.
No, all that early pressure on the top lane didn't really pay off. Yes, okay, Cabochard was safe, but that was it. Like, Unicorns of Love knew where the Lee Sin was the entire game long. and just giving up your inhibitor 20 minutes in. If you can't even fight around your own base at that point, you are so far behind, it's insane. You try to just trade for some gold, not worth it at all, because inhibitors are just super minions, you can't clear them. It means Unicorns of Love can now start even putting focus on this weaker Baron.
The fight to pick for Gambit would have been the inhibitor turret and the inhibitor itself.
Not the dragon.
Not the dragon. Not the dragon, where they just get completely melted.
It is still the Gambit style, though.
It is. They always like dragons.
Extremely aggressive, and they will look for fights here. Pinoy looking for one himself.
A little bit of damage down. We do see Chachi's gone for the Frozen Mallet as his second item. Talk about wanting to snowball a lead. Let's see if he can make this one count. So Baron is available. 23 minutes. It's very tanky members of Unicorns. At least if Kikis jumps in front, maybe they can bait it. Maybe they don't even need to.
No, just such a good play here. You get the vision control around the Baron. They just need to put a pink ward actually in the pit itself to clear the last ward from Gambit. Meaning, if they ever send someone bot lane who can't even hold the super minions by themselves, well, you can just go start Baron, or you can keep pushing top lane and mid lane and just rotate in the jungle between those two lanes and the Baron itself. So just a very, very smart play by Unicorns of Love, not waiting around, not letting Gambit scale up.
Hylissang just chilling in the side lanes, making sure that nobody can come from behind.
Tower.
Gambit know they can't fight. They're 10k gold down at 24 minutes. This sort of lead does not traditionally happen this quickly in the new season, because it's just so much more difficult to come by the gold. And look at this, they're on the inhibitor. They've caught Diamond. Diamond's going to get shut down in a moment. He is killed by Chachi, and Unicorns turn to the inhibitor turret. Oh, that's a great stun by Cabo Shot in conjunction with collateral damage. It might be too little. Let's see, find out. Chachi continues to get melted down as we see Pinoy is going to chase. Great engage from Cabo Shot. Gambit dig deep and they hold on.
That was the engage they needed here, catching Unicorns of Love a little bit off guard after that actually killed Diamond. But Gambit, they probably have the worst, or one of the worst comps at actually getting to late game. Because again, you don't have any safe wave clear. Castellan, Casio, and Graves are all way too short range to stand there, and they can't really instant clear the waves, meaning Unicorns of Love can just keep pushing down. Onto Diamond first. He dies now. Let's look at Cabo Shot here. And it's engaged together with Edward coming in. Is it actually an ulti flash? It is. Beautiful. So he starts the animation from his ulti, and then he flashes after, so there's no reaction time for Unicorns of Love. Lands the CC. Visichachi ends up dying as well, and Hylissang in the very end. So this is what Gambit needs. Might be too late though.
You definitely have to jump on Twitter and hashtag that stun from Cabo Shard as your LCS big play of the day, because that really was a great engage. If by some miracle Gambit can dig deep, that was the moment that'll bring them back, but it's so much ground to make up.
And look how early here Unicorns of Love have decided to get the Greater Vision Totem. Again, the new thing here in 5.1 is it's buff, shorter cooldown, cost less gold as well. So they have two pink wards now from Visichachi and Power of Evil at all times. So even if Gambit goes in, clears the one at Baron, you just have two extra ones you can put down, constantly keep the vision control and the pressure on Gambit side. So I really like the pickup here from them.
We'll see if they can make the vision work. You see, oh, that's the ultimate from Ardax. He's going in. Chachi is going to throw the house. The solar flare comes down. Cabashard's locked up. He's going to block some of the burst, but this is messy. Cabashard's the first victim of the fight. Now Diamond Prox is being focused down. He's killed just after Pinoy, and Unicorns of Love, they go aggressive. Hylissang lands a Zenith Blade, but it's not going to be enough. There's still minions of the Nexus turrets. 3 members down for Gambit. Unicorns, they're on the Nexus turrets. At 26 minutes, they're looking to close. They've caught Edward. He's knocked in the air. The Unicorns of Love are going to be riding high. They've got a Nexus turret down. They're taking out the second. And in 26 minutes, Unicorns of Love have obliterated Gambit. The hype train is with the love train.
Completely destroyed Gambit and their late game scaling comp here. Such a greedy comp from Gambit as well. We saw all the focus from Diamond on the top lane. Didn't pay off, nothing happened. And because there was so much hard engage, and there was the Syndra being so extremely strong from Power of Evil, Unicorns of Love just kept picking the fights. They got every single fight they wanted to, and no chance of disengaging. Remember, as we talked about, it's only the Cassiopeia ulti as some sort of disengage from Gambit here. And Unicorns of Love just completely punished them for having such a slow comp.
9-0-5 from Power of Evil Syndra. But truthfully, it wasn't the Syndra that got them there. It was Syndra that closed. It was Kikis on
The whole
Jarvis.
setup.
1-0-13. He was the one that helped set up the first blood. Kikis was all around the map.
And Hylissang
In
on
every
this
single
Leona.
lane.
We call him a one-trick pony, Hylissang on Thresh. This Leona play here, except for the one little thing into the laning phase where he didn't go aggressive enough, the rest was pure, was perfect. I mean, that was it. Every single time he had a chance to engage, he got in there. Jarvan obviously from Kikis followed in after getting that early kill for Power of Evil in the laning phase, as you just said. Those two together constantly started the fights. Power of Evil just had to follow up and pick up more kills.
Really, really good play from the Unicorns of Love. This was the grudge match to end day one to determine which off-season squad who gained hype, who gained support at the IEMs was going to come out ahead, and it's the Unicorns of Love. Massive smiles. Look at them celebrating on stage. And a lot of props has to be given to the guys. That was, of course, Sheepy, who is their coach.
Yeah.
Good call. I mean, nah,
For sure.
3 for 3 today. It has to be banned, or it has to be picked up early.
At least considered as such a good pick, because first two games wasn't banned, wasn't picked at all. Just seeing it, how strong it is, how strong it actually is. Even though Visichachi didn't have to do too much other than just sit back and not actually die in the laning phase. It was more about the rest of the lineup here, making all the plays. And I don't think Gambit will ever pick such a slow scaling comp again with the two solo laners who needed more and more time, who needed at least to 30 minutes before they could really start doing something. Especially not against a comp like a Unicorns of Love here.
No, definitely not. First pick Kassadin really did not work out. It did for SK, did not for Gambit this time around. And Lee Sin being played by Diamond, 0-5-0. He went for the skirmishes. It's not something we've ever seen, like you mentioned. And also, Diamond just seemed to be non-impactful. He really did not have any sort of presence in the game or any sort of control offered to the rest of his squad.
Yeah, so obviously, again, jungle item, a little bit unique from him. That didn't even matter because he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So he could have got whatever jungle item in the world. He kept walking top lane, sat there and said, Cabochard, you're safe, just do whatever. Oh, my bot lane's dying, mid lane just died. I'm going to go back to top lane and make sure Cabochard can farm. That was a wrong. Well, again, the plan from Gambit, it made sense on paper, getting Cabochard going and making sure he could just sit and farm and scale up. But because the rest of the team was so slow as well and just couldn't do anything, it didn't pay off.
No, definitely not. So, guys, we're going to send it to stage now where Pyrotechnics is standing by with Unicorn of Love's Power of Evil after a dominating performance for an inside look on that win.
Thank you very much, guys. I am standing right here with Power of Evil. What a dominating scoreline you had, 9-0-5 on that Syndra pickup. And coming in, playing your first game in the LCS, playing that Syndra pick, and just pretty much showing everyone who's boss in your home country, that's got to feel really good for you.
Yeah, it's an insane feeling. I'm pretty happy and pretty proud of my performance in this game. And I was coming into this game quite nervous, and I'm quite happy to have such a good performance.
Alrighty then. And also I wanted to ask a little bit about just generally speaking, some of the expectations on your team. A lot of people had given a lot of hype up to you guys going in this game against Gambit, but we're sort of the old school, known as the Master of Innovators. Your team coming in, kind of knocking them down a few pegs. You were able to really take that belt away from them, take that title of Innovators away from them. And how did you really plan against this team that seems like a lot of people had trouble preparing for?
I think we are just in general, I would compare us to Gambit as well, just because of the innovating picks. And we're just training them every day and trying to improve on them, trying to pick them off guard. And I think in this game, I got one of my best champions, and I got helped by my jungler Kikis, who got me the first blood, which I snowballed pretty good.
Yeah, perhaps people maybe start thinking about taking your Syndra away next time, and hopefully, I hope we get to see it a little bit more personally. That was amazing. Lastly, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the expectations people had on you. We touched on this a second ago, but you were ranked recently, I'm not sure if you're aware, 17, I believe, in the LoL Esports Power Rankings. For a team that just came out of Challenger, does that feel like there's a huge chip on your shoulder that you have to perform well, or does it just kind of act as an extra confidence booster to you?
I think it doesn't affect us that much that we were ranked 17, at least me as a person and as a player. So I just came into the game and tried my best, tried to win the game, and it doesn't really matter for me at least, which other people are like ranking us. I'm just trying to perform as good as we can and hopefully trying to win as much as we can in LCS.
Well, I hope to see a lot more of you coming up soon. Now, with that, we're going to send it back over to Shux and Crepo at the desk, who are going to break down that game's plays.
Thank you very much, Pyra. Always nice to hear from Power of Evil. First time in the LCS, but we've heard from him at IM San Jose already.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan. I'm objective, but it was definitely nice to see them play.
I could be subjective.
You can certainly say that. Talk to me about picks and bans in this one. We had Thresh, Hecarim, Janna, Rek'Sai, Sejuani, Xerath. Not the most normal of ban phases.
Yeah, so let's take a look at Gambit. They take away the Thresh from Hylissang, that's good. Then they analyze in themselves, okay, Janna's the second best champion, let's take that away. Okay, but then you opt for the Annie, which leads up to Leona as a counterpick. And in my opinion, a Leona that plays well, and especially when you get the Grump advantage, should always beat an Annie lane. I think Hylissang could even min-max more in that matchup, being he could find a little few windows where he can actually abuse the matchup. But other than that, I really want to give props to Hylissang's Leona play. It was absolutely stellar. Once they started snowballing, he was making picks together, and especially in synergy with his teammates. Every time Power of Evil opened up with a stun, Hylissang would follow up to predict Zenith Blades in the odd chance that there was a Kassadin going out or Graves dashing out. That's why he was always predicting those Zenith Blades forward. Basically, either they hit and the guy dies, or they don't hit and the guy dies anyways. And he was playing really well with that Leona, and I just want to give props for that. I really hope he trains it a little more in the lane. I think he could have killed Edward maybe once or twice, and then they ended up backing off and basically getting their AD carry blown up. But other than that, they did well, and that shows. You know, Gambit, you ban out two supports and you force him on a uncomfortable champion, and you end up losing the lane, and that shouldn't happen.
No, you do have a replay as well of that early phases of the game, the bot lane dives. Let's get that up on the screen so we can take a look at that. You were saying the whole time, they should go in now, they should go in now.
Yeah, basically, before we roll the clip, I just want to highlight Edward's flashes down, and that basically means that they can at any given point flash in or just ult in with Leona. And we have Syndra coming down as well, so this is really good. Power of Evil is translating his advantage from the mid lane to the bot lane. He'll never kill Cass in 1v1, but he can roam. At the same time, I want to highlight that Gambit did well is communicate, because they get the first TP down and Cassian follows. Let's roll the clip right now, and we can see what happens. So they correctly identified Pinoy is only left under the tower. Edward's all the way out of position. Good job waiting for the ulti before Graves dashes. Power of Evil comes in, but here's Cabochard with the TP, followed by Vizichashi. He's very close to going to Mega Nar. Good stun by Eddie, still like delaying the all-in, because this buys him enough time, and Vardox goes low enough for Kassadin to pick up that return kill. So I just want to highlight that this is a play that was played well from both sides. I think Eddie backed off a little bit too far initially. Left Pinoy actually on his own. Pinoy did the right thing. You can dash mid-stun from Leona and hopefully to dodge the ulti. Hylissang in return did the right thing by waiting for that dash, not missing his stun on the tower as some certain Crepo players do sometimes, and then actually landing the ulti spot on and really good target calling. They knew Cassiopeia was coming, so they didn't finish the dive. They waited for her to come, waited for the ulti, turned back again. I just want to give props to both teams here. This was good play.
Wow, so much praise for both teams. That's
exactly.
Really cool. You also had something to say about Edward and picking people off with his vision control at some times in the game.
Yeah, like I really respect Eddie as a support, but a couple of times he actually was really unlucky this game, because 5.1 recently changed that wards survive a little longer, and it was really sad to see every time he placed the ward, just barely Unicorns of Love would pick that off with either an auto attack reset on Leona and then another hit, and it just shows that Unicorns of Love are just working as a team. Like, they're attacking wards together. Even these small wins allow them to choke out the vision from Gambit and then create picks because of that. We have Leona opening first and Power of Evil following up. We have Power of Evil going out first, Leona following up. We have the tank presence of Gnar and Jarvan, which is really, if you have this AoE blow them up comp, it's really good to have this tank presence that can draw some attention until somebody missteps, and that was something Gambit was lacking. They had Kassadin to punish missteps, they had Annie to punish missteps, they had Cassio to punish missteps, but they didn't have any tank to really draw the attention, keep people in range for that to happen, and you saw really how well Unicorns of Love abuse that fact.
Absolutely. We have actually one final replay where Unicorns of Love show that their synergy is on point. They know exactly when to go in. Let's get that up on the screen. There was only one team fight I think they lost, but all the rest they executed.
Yeah, in the end they actually got turned on by the Cassiopeia ult, and you can see how well they respect it, right? So they're at Dragon right now. We can roll the clip, and they don't prioritize the objective. They basically use it as bait. They know Gambit's coming in, so they go on Diamond, they want to take him out, don't have the 50-50 smite, and look at Vizichachi, just flashes in, puts people in the wall, Hylissang follows up, and he doesn't even have time to use a stun. They back off to the Dragon. Gambit is still being like lured in. They shouldn't like go for this anymore because they're so desperate to land that money Cassiopeia ulti, but Nick overextends right now. You see there's no tank drawing the aggro on Unicorns of Love. Sure, they land the 4-man Cassiopeia ulti, but it's too late because they have to invest too much HP to get close enough to make that happen, in a sense. Sure, if they snowball, they can do that all game, but if they ever get behind, their front line will just get blown up before they can even get in position to, use that wombo combo.
Yeah, for me, one thing coming into this one for the Unicorns of Love were some question marks. They have those oddball picks sometimes, but here it really shows that they have both the individual class and the team play, but it was only the first game, of course.
Yeah, okay, this is game 1, and we'll have to see whether this is all they have, whether they have more in store, or whether they can come back from behind. But for me, they played well this game. Their draft was super well thought out. They had Gnar Jarvan on first rotation. They answered the Annie pick with a Leona. They filled out Sivir, and then they hovered the Orianna. That's actually the last thing I want to highlight is Orianna would have been great in this comp, thematically, right? You have Gnar and Jarvan going in, and you could put the ball on them, and then ulti. But then they were smart enough to think, we actually don't need that. We can just start making the picks with the Syndra and then just have everybody else follow up instead of sending Jarvan and Gnar in and then using the Orianna ulti. And you saw the little extra spice from the Syndra in the early game allowed them to snowball mid, allowed them to roam and make picks left and right. So I like the switch that they didn't go for Ori and ended up playing Syndra, even though she's nerfed on 5.1. Yep.
Definitely worked out for them on that one. With the season fully underway, let's take a look at who raked in the most fantasy points today. The Day 1 fantasy leader with 10 kills, a KDA of 22, and 2 double kills for a whopping 42 points in his LCS debut is Fnatic's mid laner, Fabivin. Great performance from him and from the entire team today.
Yeah, he did really well.
There's actually not much to say about that.
Nah, I really
performance.
Actually, just going back to the Fnatic game.
No, you're not allowed to talk. No,
okay, I'm done. Okay, I really want to say Fnatic played forward so well. You know, that's the one thing. If you don't have a tank, everybody dove in, and people were wondering, is Fabivin going to get blown up on Xerath? No, he just stood back and basically immediately launched every ulti every time Fnatic CC'd somebody. It was beautiful to see the way strategically Fnatic played in that match.
Yep. And as we wrap up the day, let's pull up the standings with 5 matches down in the 2015 spring split. Here is how the teams stack up. Half of the teams are tied with 1 win, while the rest have a loss each after the first day of the season. And while looking at that table, the Copenhagen Wolves on top with Fnatic and Giants. And then at the bottom of the table, Meet Your Makers, H2K, and Rocket. H2K will especially be beating themselves up, I think, after that one here today.
Yeah, they definitely basically threw the game. You know, they had a team fight composition that snowballed a little bit, but they were actually better at split pushing than their adversaries, and they should have basically kept the map open, used those side lanes to get the victory. But impressive that Copenhagen Wolves came back in that game.
Yeah, another big one was, of course, Elements suffering a defeat from Fnatic, who played fantastically, but that's all going to change tomorrow with 5 more games beginning with Meet Your Makers versus SK, and the new Fnatic will face off against H2K. Then we'll wrap up the week in Europe with the Unicorns of Love versus Elements. Those matches all start at 6 p.m. Central European Time. That's 9 a.m. Pacific, so don't miss it. And that is all for day 1 of the 2015 season here in Berlin. On behalf of myself, Crepo, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to day 1. Glacial Tomb will keep Huni alive for a few seconds longer, but Froggen with the glitter lance, he gets the first kill of the fight. Rainover looks to secure one, but he's dropped in the background. Shook gets sniped by Fabivin. They are the victors of the first game of the European LCS. That's going to be a dead Mima. Whirling flashes forward. That's a double counter-strike. Double kill. Gonna close it out for the triple. They win their first game of the European LCS. Oh, let's look at Odawa. He's running in. He gets a double. That's a double stun. Youngbuck is about to become Mega Gnar, but he's exhausted. That is a massive stun. Copenhagen Wolves have done it. SK went to Worlds after beating Roccat the last time they faced off. Roccat wants revenge. We are about to find out how this goes. They've gone onto Enrated. That's a Glacial Tomb on the support, but Overpow's the first victim of the fight. We see Vander going down next. Yankos, Warlight, Noobtuck doing the best they can to run away for the final match of day 1 of the spring split. A little low on HP now. Nick is knocked up. Cataclysm down at the Diamond. Syndra's got 2. Cabochard will be the next target as Hylissang shuts him down. Unicorns of Love have obliterated Gambit.